Villa di Vecchi in Italy. Villa di Vecchi is foreboding, alright? Just consider that looming fog blanket. Located near Lake Como, Italy, also known as the House of Witches, dates back to 1854 to 1857, when it was built as a summer house for Count Felix de Vecchi. The family was only able to spend a few years there, as their lives were mired in tragedy right after it was built. First, the architect died a year after its construction. Then, in 1862, Count de Vecchi came home to discover his wife murdered and his daughter missing. When he could not find her after a year of searching, he died by suicide. His brother then moved into the home and his family continued to live there until World War II. It's been vacant since the 1960s, and an avalanche in 2002 wiped out all the houses in the area, except for this one. Hotel Cecil in Los Angeles, California. More cursed than haunted, downtown LA's Hotel Cecil got such a bad reputation that it actually changed its name to Stay on Main. If you're a true crime and paranormal superfan, you've likely heard of it. Where to begin? So many bad things have happened here. There's literally an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to its violent history. The first recorded death by suicide is in 1931, followed by a long string of familiar deaths in 1932, 1934, 1937, 1938, 1939, and 1940. At some point in the 30s, one man was pinned to the exterior wall by a truck. A woman murdered her newborn in the building in 1944, and the pattern of suicides continued into the 60s. In 1962, a woman jumped from the 9th floor window and landed on a pedestrian, killing them both. It's worth noting that two of the women who died by suicide apparently jumped while their husbands were asleep in the room. In 1964, tenant Goldie Osgood was brutally murdered, a crime which has remained unsolved. Next, in the 80s, the infamous serial killer known as the Night Stalker stayed at the hotel, and in the 1990s, an Austrian serial killer named Jack lived there. Other weird things kept happening, but the weirdest is definitely the disappearance and death of 21-year-old traveller Elisa Lam. A few weeks after Lam went missing, her body was discovered in the rooftop water tank after visitors and tenants complained about a funky taste. They later found odd footage of her in the elevator from the night of her disappearance. It's difficult to make out what she's doing. It looks like she's either playing hide and seek with someone outside the elevator, or she's frightened and attempting to hide from someone, but the doors won't seem to shut. Authorities ruled the death accidental drowning, but because you need a key to access the roof, many suspect foul play. Los Feliz Murder Mansion in Los Angeles, California. During the mid-20th century, this large Los Feliz home was the seemingly happy home of the Dr. Harold Perelson and his family, until the horrific night of December 6, 1959, when he murdered his wife in her sleep with a ball pen hammer and attempted to murder his 3 children before drinking acid to kill himself. Fortunately, his eldest daughter let out a scream when he struck her in the head, waking up the younger children, who then walked into the hallway to find out what was going on. During the commotion, they were all able to flee. Before the murder-suicide, he was a successful doctor who invented a new type of syringe after investing most of money into its research and production. But he got screwed over out of the rights, leading investigators to blame financial problems. Other creepy details include a passage of Dante's Divine Comedy left open on his bedside table. 2 years later, it was sold to the Entriguez family, who used it as a storage unit, and their son continued to do so until he sold it to a couple in 2016, who had plans to fix it up. But it seems to have scared them off because within a few years it's on the market again. Photographers also report a feeling of needing to run away from the house when they get close to it. The Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. In 1937, millionaire inventor Norman G. Baker posed as a doctor and turned the hotel into a hospital that he said could cure cancer. Have the chills yet? Baker, who had a fetish for purple, painted many sections of the hospital in the colour, and today the chimneys remain the same colour. In addition to wearing purple shirts and ties, he drove a purple car as well. People came from all over with hopes of curing their cancer, and many who were so-called treated died. Eventually, Baker was exposed and ran out of town, and today the property is an active hotel. It's said to be haunted by several ghosts, including a bearded man wearing Victorian clothing and a 5-year-old girl. The Louis family mansion in Taiwan. Built in 1929 in Baroque style, the Minxiong Ghost House, aka the Louis family mansion, is a place with a heartbreaking history. Located in the Taiwanese countryside, it's been abandoned since the 1950s when the family fled abruptly. Like all mysterious places, there's plenty of lore around the family and why they left the once beautiful place. Local legend says the maid was having an affair with her employer, and when the secret came out, she jumped down the well to her death. But since she did not live to tell the tale, who's to say another family member didn't push her? Then she came back to haunt the family until they finally left. A few years later, it was occupied by members of the Kuomintang of China, many of whom were also thought to have died of suicide, which exacerbated its reputation as haunted. People who visit report plenty of ghost sightings.